Hey guys, Buildzoid here, and there hasn't been a video in a while, and we have like a truckload of various topics to cover today, so... yeah. Channel update time. There's 20,000 subscribers, which I completely don't understand because, you know, apparently there's 20,000 people who want to, or at least once upon a time wanted to, watch AHOC videos. I don't know how that's possible because even I don't want to watch my own videos, but anyway... other than that, there's this thing, which I said I'd do a memory overclocking guide for, and I have a bit of a dilemma. If I do a memory overclock, like, how much detail do people want in that memory overclocking guide? Because I have exactly 2 memory kits. A 4x4 Micron kit from 2015 that doesn't work on Ryzen at all. And, well, it doesn't overclock at all. It works at 2400 and not a megahertz above that. And then there's the B-die, which is currently in the board, doing 3450 megahertz, posting CL12 booting cold. Like, I could start the board right now and it would boot up CL12 at 3400, which is, like, I'm super impressed by that because the Tai Chi can do those kinds of timings. It doesn't do them 24/7 randomly out of the blue, right? Like, I need to actually train into them. It won't just boot those settings. And Tai Chi will actually boot 3600, which the K5 won't do. But the K5, once I dial in some, like, settings, it actually sticks to them properly. Like, it will boot them repeatedly over and over and over again. Whereas the Tai Chi is just... And the other thing is, with that board, when overclocking, it's like you make minor mistakes. The board... Like, Gigabyte boards have this thing where they'll drop their memory ratio and they'll boot up with all of your miserable timings, so it doesn't wipe the BIOS. Whereas the Tai Chi, you screw up and you have to start over, basically. You have to retrain the board, and it basically ended up that the Tai Chi I have... when I use that board, I have, like, a profile saved. So I have, like, 3200... No, I have, like, 30... Yeah, I have 3600 starter... 3200 training, 3200 hard, because I can't run 3200, like, the 3200 hard profile will not post if I don't go through the other two before it, which is just like, whereas this board, I can wipe the BIOS, I can reset the BIOS, load up the 3400 C13 profile I saved, and it'll boot it right off the bat, which I'm really impressed with that. But at the same time, it doesn't do 3600 at all. And it has some other issues, but yeah. But, you know, overall on B-die, I really, really like it. And ultimately, most people probably won't be pushing past 3200 for daily anyway, or even 3466, which 3466 I can't get running off of the 3466 ratio, so I'm not quite sure what's up with that. I can make 3466 run with VCLK, can't make it run if I just set 3466. No idea why. So that's kind of interesting. But the other thing I was considering is just like B-die and like Hynix AFR are very different in how they behave on Ryzen, or so I've been told, or so I've read. Because I don't have a Hynix AFR kit. I don't have a Hynix anything kit actually. I don't think. Yeah, I've not had a Hynix memory kit at all. Now that I think about it, for DDR4. I have a SpecTech kit. Yeah. It's not just the big manufacturers are Samsung, Micron, Hynix. And then there's this company called SpecTech who make the really, really, really bad memory chips. Like, they're terrible. But I have a kit of that, and that's in my daily system. That's fun, isn't it? Which is why my daily system is stuck at 2400 megahertz on X99, so yeah. But I don't have a Hynix anything, and the Micron kit I have is from like 2015, so it won't run on Ryzen at all, and it's not even relevant because it behaves like 2015 Micron memory chips behave very differently from what you have now from Micron. Like, the newer Microns, when they're on Intel, they'll go to like They'll go as high as 3500 or 3600. Mine will, like, there's 1 or 2 motherboards where my Micron kit will do 3000, and everywhere else it does 2800 max. Well, 2900 max. It doesn't really go past 3 gigahertz. And it just like complains nonstop. So it's just that kit's not relevant at all. And then the B-die kit, well, I guess too easy. So what I'm wondering is like, should I go and buy a 3200 CL16 2x8 gigs kit, knowing that this kit is going to be completely bloody useless? That's the main problem I have with it, because a 16 gig kit of RAM of DDR4 right now is 200 quid, which is just way too damn much for a memory kit that's gonna suck. You know, so and 3000 CL16 is not that much cheaper either. It's just like, I don't want to, like, I really don't want to go buy a bad memory kit just for testing. So, well, actually 3000 is a lot cheaper, but it's still, it's just like, it would literally just be wasting space in my RAM collection. Which is mostly DDR3. It's not, like, as I said, I have two DDR4 kits, because I got rid of the D-die memory kit, which I had, because that was 3400 rated, but it only ran on, like, it was also really picky with motherboards, and it didn't work on Ryzen, because, again, it's from late 2015, that memory IC on that. That was D-die, so that was one of, like, the first D-die memory kits that came out, so, yeah, it doesn't play well with modern motherboards. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Should I actually bother with trying different memory ICs, or are people happy if I just go over like the sock voltage? Because there's a little bit of weirdness with the sock voltage offset. There's a, you know, like how to use the BCLK, which I actually have an issue with the BCLK where it doesn't work past a, like, I can't set it as high as it should be able to, because I think the motherboard doesn't, like, when you try to change the PCIe slot speed, I don't think it actually does it, because if I try to push high BCLK, the board hangs on the GPU initialization, which, in my opinion, is a pretty good indication that it's not setting the PCIe speeds properly. So that's a bit of an issue. But other than that, the BCLK is great for fine-tuning. And then the actual memory timings, because here's the thing, the memory timings are completely different depending on which memory IC you have. So that's why I'm wondering about, like, do I go and get a Hynix GFR or AFR? Actually, let's see. What does Hynix make? Hynix DDR4 product list. Okay, so 8 gigabit. Okay, so they make 8 gigabit AFR. They make 8 gigabit. It's all AFR. Well, there's also a BJR IC. That's fun. So there's a B-die from Hynix, which I'm going to assume is terrible. There's a C. Wait, oh no, that's an engineering sample, so that's not retail yet. But there is an 8 gig AFR. So that's a thing. And yeah, so it's just, I don't know. I don't really feel like going out and buying a memory kit that I know is going to suck. And it is all, Hynix has basically just 4 gigabit AFR and 8 gigabit AFR. And then there's 4 gigabit BGR, which is, that's the silliest name I've ever seen. But, well, worst to pronounce memory ending, but whatever. Yeah, so it's just like, I'm not sure. Do people, because I know a lot of people who, like, everybody who has the most problems with memory on Ryzen is on AFR. Probably on AFR or something from Micron, which is just like, those ICs are just like, even on Intel motherboards, they're completely irrelevant because B-die just curb stomps them in performance. Because B-die does 4000 CL12. Nothing else on the planet does 4000 CL12 right now, so, you know, it's just like, I don't have any other use for the memory kit, which I find really annoying if I buy it. It will literally just be a memory kit that I use for that one video, or maybe two. And even then, it's like 2 videos for me do not, like, me making 2 videos is not worth 200 quid. So, yeah. That's kind of kind of the thing. But if people really want me to go and test terrible Hynix memory chips, yeah, I'll go test terrible Hynix memory chips. In my opinion, it would be more productive for everybody if you just went and found a B-die kit. And it's not even that hard. If it's rated for 3200 CL14, it's B-die, because no other memory IC does that regularly. Well, I mean, you can actually time all the, like, you can overclock all the other chips. You can overclock a lot of chips to do 3200 CL14, but there's no manufacturer that manufactures 3200 CL14 memory kits with non-B-die ICs. Okay, and Corsair doesn't make a 3200 CL14 because Corsair sucks. There, I said it. But actually, I have no idea why they don't. Because I know they use B-die for like their 3600 plus rated kits, but again, it's just like, then you're overpaying for the higher speed, in my opinion. And I wouldn't mind actually testing out a 3600 kit. Though I've heard they're also like really bad, like it's B-die, but it's like the worst of the worst B-die if you buy a Corsair 3600 rated kit, so yeah. It's just kind of a pain with the memory situation. So that's a thing. Other than that, there was the ROGOC Showdown, which finished, which I, as a member of Alza OC team, like, that was awesome. I'm not sure how the prize distribution will be handled for the team, so I don't know if I'll actually get anything out of that, but my score did help. As of right now, the actual ranking for the entire competition is not final. The moderators still need to go through all the submissions, I guess. But we did finish second before, moderation adjustments are made. So hopefully we don't have any of our scores removed. But I think we're probably going to stay second. And that's really not a bad result. Considering some of the issues we ran into with Stage 4. For some reason, nobody on Alza OC team knows how to do AM3 Plus or has the time to do AM3 Plus. It's just, So, yeah. But, like, it was a fun competition. I'm sad that I didn't get to bench more, because it was literally just FM2, and all three of the 6420Ks I had, all three of them clocked the same. Exactly the same. So, well, not exactly. They were within 100 megahertz of each other on air and LN2. So, it wasn't like that much I could do about it. But that was a pretty fun competition. And I'm happy with the results. Well, I'm not happy. I wanted 8 gigahertz, damn it. It's for a freaking pile driver. I want my 8 gigahertz. But what can I do about that? If the chips don't do 8 gigahertz, they don't do 8 gigahertz. And there's not really that much you can, like... Pile driver is a... Like, if you have an 8 gigahertz chip, it's like, it should do at least, like, 7.8 gigahertz easy. And then, because, like, I know, for example, the FX9590 I had, 7.8 gigahertz, super easy. It does that, like, no issues. You can do 7.8 gigahertz always, every motherboard, pretty much every motherboard that goes high enough voltage, and it will always do 7.8, pretty much. Then when you want 8 gigahertz, it takes a bit of effort, and then if you want 8, I eventually squeezed it all the way to 8.1 almost. That takes a lot of effort. But ultimately, if the chip doesn't do, like, at least 7.8 easy, then it's not doing 8 in a million years. And the dual-core... APUs, just like, you can't even bin the cores or anything, so yeah, you just run single core mode and hope for the best, and the best they do is a 7.5-ish, so that's not great. But yeah, that happened. There's a live stream of that where we delidded 2 of those APUs successfully, and then I killed them. Well, no, I killed one before the live stream. I delidded that one on the stream just to figure out how to do the delid. Then I delidded a living one, and then that one died because I accidentally shoved 2 volts through it at minus 50. Yeah, that wasn't a good moment. 2 volts kills stuff, It's just, you need to be really cold for 2 volts to not instantly destroy things. So Yeah, that wasn't a great moment. So that chip died, and I tried to run it like direct die, which just that was the worst idea I ever had. That stream will be like uploaded to the YouTube channel eventually, which I need to stay on top of like uploading stream archives. That way there wouldn't be like random content shortages because I could just publish a stream and it'd be solved. Content shortage fixed. Publish random stream. But yeah, that was a thing. That was pretty awesome. Right now the Country Cup is starting, so I will be benching for that. And I made up my mind. I'm benching for the Czech Republic. So I'm doing that. So I'll be benching the HD7970 on liquid nitrogen for GPU Pi. I benched Vega earlier today on liquid nitrogen. I've kind of surprised myself. I've gotten really good at running Vegas without any insulation. At least, well, I haven't run it for like a long period of time, but it ran really good for considering that all I had was like no plasti dip, nothing like that. So I did run a bit of Vega today for the Country Cup on liquid nitrogen and air cooling with the K5, which was a dumb idea because here's the thing: the Country Cup stage I was actually benching is stage 5. And that is AMD GPU, AMD CPU, 3D Mark 11 performance. There's, like, it might be a Windows thing, it might be the version of 3D Mark 11 I'm using. I have a really low physics score relative to the clocks that I'm running. I was running 4 gigahertz, 40 megahertz core clock and 3450 megahertz memory with CL12 like 12 12 12 26 timings. So like the memory was really aggressively timed and clocked. Well, not super, like it could go further in theory, but that was, I think, that was pushing it. I think that's probably the best memory settings I've seen out of the memory kit and my 1700. And then 4 gigahertz 40 is not the highest frequency I can run. I'm pretty sure if I stuck the chip in the Tai Chi, and it would probably do 4.1. But, you know, respectable clocks and respectable memory settings, and, the physics score was terrible. And the physics score was fluctuating wildly between runs. So, like, one run I could get 18,000 plus, and another run I'd get, like, 17,000. Which wasn't great. Stability was kind of wonky as well, so that didn't help at all. Overall, it was just like I was having issues with physics, but I just wanted to run Vega on liquid nitrogen, so I did. Found out that there's also a massive GPU bottleneck, CPU bottleneck for the graphics test, because 3D Mark 11 is now so old that it runs at like almost 300 FPS. Once you put Vega on liquid nitrogen, which Ryzen can't do 300 FPS, at least not at the settings that I had it at. So yeah, need to look into that, and hopefully I do well on that. But Vega ran relatively easy. Vega's really easy on liquid nitrogen. Well, relatively easy on liquid nitrogen. It doesn't have cold slow. It doesn't have a cold bug. It doesn't have any, like, it doesn't complain about being cold. It just breaks the thermal paste all the time. You can actually, like, the HBM can crack the thermal paste separate from the GPU core, which I found out today because basically I was running at minus 85 degrees centigrade. I think I had the GPU around 18 or 9, somewhere between 1800 and 1900 core clock. Maybe above that. The funny thing about Vega is, as you lower Vega's operating temperature, it starts boosting higher and higher and higher above P-State 7, which was really interesting to see. Like, I need to make a video of that when you just pull the temperature down and you're running the card, and it goes like, because I'm on the Liquid Edition BIOS, so it was like 1750. Temperature starts dropping and it goes 1750, 1760, 1770, 1780, 1790, 1800, 1820, and as it goes past 0, it was already at like 1850 megahertz. Like, it was running 100 megahertz above P-State 7, according to GPU-Z and Wattman, just because I pulled the card down to 0, which was just like, well, that's really interesting. I'm not, like, I'll have to test, like, the performance results of that, but, yeah, that was something I noticed. I didn't really spend that much time worrying about it, because ultimately I was just like, I want my scores now. and yeah, didn't really want to spend a lot of time. Well, didn't want to go particularly slowly. Um, but yeah, the GPU hit a bottleneck, so I got stuck around 41,000 points, which is like just under 41,000 points at the ridiculous GPU clock speeds I was running, which is annoying because the guy who, like, I didn't get the top score for RX Vega 64 with Ryzen. And the guy above me actually is getting a higher GPU score, higher physics score, and a lower combined. At lower, like, at similar CPU clocks, lower GPU clocks, and that's annoying. That's really annoying. So I have some kind of software or maybe CPU side. Like, there's something somewhere which I should have sorted out long before I started trying to run liquid nitrogen, but whatever. At least I did figure out that, yeah, you can crack the thermal paste, because at minus 85C, 1800, 1900, maybe even 2 gigahertz core clock, I'm really not sure, because the core clock does silly things once you go below 0. It's not like, it doesn't ruin performance. You just don't know where the clock is. The performance goes up and down properly, but you can't tell what clock you're at. So at some very high clock speed, minus 85 degrees, I hear a very mild crack around in one of the 3D Mark, I think GT1 or GT2, like one of the submarine tests. And I hear a very mild crack, and the test crashes. So I'm like, okay, thermal paste cracked. And so I go into GPU-Z to check the temperature readings. GPU core, 0 degrees. GPU hotspot, 0 degrees. HBM, plus 51. Which is just like, come on. Like, the bloody HBM can separate from the thermal paste separate of the actual GPU core. So the GPU core was completely frozen. But the HBM was positive, so you can't, like, I couldn't run the same HBM clocks anymore. Like, it wasn't stable because the HBM basically had no cooling at that point. Well, all the cooling the HBM has was whatever managed to pass through the silicon of the GPU core itself, which was less than ideal. So at that point I just said, oh well, scrapped the session and moved on. So yeah, unfortunately I didn't get any great scores because, like, there was the physics was really low for some reason. I had a really nice combined score. I'm not sure how that works, but we'll see. I plan to try a new version. Like, I've downloaded a fresh version of 3D Mark 11. I'll try and install that, see if the physics improve. If they don't, I'm trying a different motherboard. I'll switch to the Tai Chi. Can probably run the CPU at higher clock speed on that because I can set more voltage than I can on the K5. So yeah, and then hopefully, like, I think because on the K5 I did 30,500, even with all the issues. And another thing is I didn't actually get to see the score that many times because I was crashing constantly. Like, I was crashing the GPU, I was crashing physics, I was crashing all the time everywhere. So I didn't get to actually see how the card was scaling properly. So, yeah. But it was kind of fun to mess around, and at least I know you can crack the HBM, so basically it runs really easy around minus 70, and then once you try to go below minus 70, it starts complaining a lot. Though the HBM already does 1200 megahertz at minus 70, and I think it might even go past 1200 megahertz at minus 70. I don't know if, because I know there was a similarly, like, quiet crack earlier in the session, so I don't know if I didn't lose, like, one of the HBM modules first and then the second one after. So yeah, I don't know, need to test more. But that was pretty fun. Now we're going really overtime here. Whatever, you haven't had a video in a long time, damn it, you can make 30 minutes for a general update. So yeah, but I did some. So yeah, that was with Vega. It was pretty interesting. I'm not sure. I don't like live streaming. I have a very conflicted scenario with, like, live streaming and making videos and everything. Okay, on one hand, I love sharing with you guys. On another hand, having a camera turned on and pointed at a system makes me extremely nervous for some reason. Like, I tried to do a video where, like, when I vault modded the RX Vega 56, right? I actually tried to record that. It took twice as long as it would take me if I didn't bother with the stupid camera. I was so nervous that my hand was shaking all the time, so I couldn't solder worth a damn. And it was just like, it was terrible. It was so bad. And it's just, yeah. And similar for when I'm overclocking, it's just like, if I'm overclocking, without the webcam, without the live stream running, I don't worry about things like, oh, I broke Windows. I don't start frantically searching for a solution. I'm just like, okay, Google, how do I fix this? And it's just like, yeah, it's just, the live streams just take that away from my sessions. So ultimately what happens every time I live stream, the sessions are a lot less productive than when I do stuff solo, because when I do stuff solo, I'm willing to screw up and do, like, I go to greater lengths to fix issues than I do on live streams. And overall, just, like, I'm better at my troubleshooting when I don't have the live stream running, which is really, yeah, that's just unfortunate. Hopefully that improves over time. Or, you'll just have to put up with the fact that the live streams are never very good and you'll always hear about my great overclocking achievements later or something. But yeah, putting that aside, I also tried to run the Fury X on liquid nitrogen yesterday. That was a catastrophe. Here's a pro tip. Always, always, always refresh your thermal paste on your LN2 pots if you've left them sitting around for ages, because the, like, cryonaut dries out, apparently. So today when I was running the Vega, my thermal, like, I redid all of the thermal paste everywhere, like, even for the thermal probe, and, like, the LN2 pot looked really responsive, but it wasn't because the LN2 pot was more responsive, it was just because the thermal probe was actually measuring the temperature better, because it actually had thermal contact, whereas when I was doing the Fury X, I had whatever thermal paste was left on the thermal probe from the last time I ran the Raptor, which I don't know when that last was. It probably was like several weeks ago, so the cryonaut was just completely crumbly and destroyed. So, yeah, the temperature readings were all over the place, and that session just sucked. I did take the Unigen Heaven Fury X hardware first place, so that score is now mine. But yeah, it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. I learned how to force a Fury X to run at full speed all the time. I need to experiment with that modification some more on some other cards, because it's a cold slow fix that I actually just stole from a cold slow BIOS. Because I have my own custom Fury X BIOS with like VCore, which is not my BIOS, I didn't make it. Gupsterg from overclock.net made that BIOS, and I just use it, and there's some, like, I've modified, like, he basically sets up the BIOS so that you have a memory voltage offset and a core voltage offset, and all I've done to that BIOS is actually configured the core voltage and the memory voltage and the power limits on it. So it's like, it's a Buildzoid BIOS. somebody else did all the hard work. I actually learned later how to do all of the adding the offsets and all that, but yeah, it's just, I could not be bothered to build a BIOS from scratch, so basically I went and stole the cold slow fix from the Asus BIOS, what I assume is an Asus BIOS. I'm not sure where, like, somebody gave me that BIOS that it's a cold slow fix, and I'm like, okay, cool. It doesn't have memory voltage, and it doesn't have some of the other things I wanted, so I basically stole the cold slow fix portion and shoved that onto my card, and yeah, so I didn't have cold slow, but the overclocking was terrible. Like, I could kind of run 1200 megahertz core at 1.3 volts, which is just embarrassing. The HBM went all the way up to 666 for a 3D Mark, but I couldn't run 666 HBM in Unigen, and I think that's going to be down to the temperature probe thing, because, like, again, I don't know what was up with the temperatures. The card complained extremely if it went below minus 50-ish. And I'm saying minus 50-ish because I could go all the way down to like minus 55 sometimes and it wouldn't have a problem. But again, that thermal probe was just not working properly because I'm an idiot. But but yeah, I learned how to fix cold slow. I need to experiment with that some more as well. Also, the Fury X is like, I need to try get display drive and the auxiliary voltage under control. There's also the VPP rail for the HBM, so there's a bunch of voltages on that card that I should probably take control over, and that'll be interesting. Yeah, so the good thing is I still have like 70 plus liter. Yeah, over 17 liters of liquid nitrogen still left. Yeah, I can't wait to just keep, like, this is awesome. I just love messing around with cards. There's a blog post about the Fury X session up on the AHOC blog. I'll drop a link for that. I have photos from the Vega session today, which there's nothing really informative in them. They just look cool if you want to look at them. So I'll drop a link to that as well. Give me the feedback about the memory thing. Definitely, the memory IC thing, which I mentioned at the start for the Gaming K5 memory overclocking video. And what else? Well, thank you for making all this ridiculousness possible. Yeah, also there's like, I'm planning some PCB breakdowns soon, so watch out for that. It's funny, it's just like, AHOC will forever work in bursts of content. Just deal with it. Because I'm just too inconsistent. Like, I can't. It's just one moment, like one day I have all these ideas for everything I want to do, and I have the intelligent idea to not write what those ideas are down. So then the next day I wake up and I'm like, I don't know what to do today. Durr. And that's how you get content droughts. So, yeah. I don't know how this channel has 20,000 subscribers, but I'm really glad it does, because this, like, is awesome. Like, it's awesome, and I hope you're... I mean, there's nobody forcing you to watch AHOC, I hope. So, I imagine you all enjoy the channel. I love the channel. Hopefully it keeps getting better. And just drop comment. Like, I really do want comments about what kind of stuff you'd like to see. And please don't say more guides. I know everybody wants to see more guides. I hate making guides. Okay? Okay. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I have a Patreon, a PayPal. There's also shirts. You can find a link to all of those things if you'd like to support support the channel through those down in the description below. If you haven't subscribed, then you should subscribe. And if you're watching this video and you aren't subscribed, well, you should also subscribe, because this video is meant for subscribers. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.